Calling all units, calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.
All right. Ready?
We're ready.
Ready? Recording? Recording?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone listening in podcast land, watching on YouTube, what is going on? We are back with a special episode of the Donut Shop podcast. And if you can't tell by the screen, this is our first ever Zoom, FaceTime, remote location podcast. And we brought on a banger, a big guy. I don't know how tall you are, but
is that a size joke?
That is a size joke. We brought on none other than, you might know him from social media, Mike the Cop, or as we know him down in Miami, Miguelito Oficial Miguelito. What is going on?
Miguelito el Policía.
That's it. What's up, my brother?
Living the dream, my friend. Living the dream. Got a little Teddy behind me. I'm ready to roll.
All right.
I see him.
And Justin here, as always. Sorry, I went straight to Mike.
No, of course. You bring in the clout, and then here we are.
Overlooked you. Hey, Justin, step aside. Aside.
Introducing the new co-host to the show.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So, Mike, what's going on, man? I saw a post recently. If you don't know, Donut Shop Podcast, we have a lot of police-eccentric listeners, people that are aspiring to be police officers, people that are police officers, some that are retired, some are just fans. And I saw a post the other day by you, since I follow you on social media, I don't know who doesn't, talking about that it's okay at some point in your career, you might figure out that this is not right for you, and it's okay to decide to move on. And there is life after police work. So I basically wanted to base this conversation around that, because I think that brought great value, especially around this time, the times that are going on around the nation, around police work in general. I wanted to bring you on and discuss that a little bit, because it might be of great value to our listeners, if Justin could agree.
Yeah.
So with that being said, let's start from the beginning. Let's start from, who is Mike the Cop? Who is this guy that I'm talking to?
What do you want to know?
I don't know. I'm not. Don't worry. I'm not a defense attorney. Okay, I'm not a public defender. You could open up a little bit. But so when did you start being? You're not always Mike the Cop.
Yeah.
So who was Mike before Mike the Cop? Did you work any jobs? We like to find out who you were before, and then we lead you through who you are to today. So.
Yeah, man, I had a bunch of jobs before I became a cop. I didn't start the police thing till I was 33, so I started a little bit later than a lot of guys do. And so before that, I had a mix of employment jobs ranging from like loss prevention at a department store, catching thieves, to I owned a window washing company, to playing professional blackjack. Man, I did all sorts of things, just raising a young family, grinding, doing what I had to do. And then kind of always had the police thing, in this little box off to the side, something that I always had kind of wanted to do and explore. My brother was a police officer, so I was like, yeah, man, like I saw how he was enjoying it, like it fit the personality. I'm like, man, that'd be really cool if I could do that. But I was never willing to basically go into that world until I felt like not only I was prepared, but it wasn't going to throw my family off entirely off kilter to do it. So finally got into that when I was about 33.
33. So prior to that, joining, was it like a pay cut? Because I know a lot of people that have. You said you had a window washing company, and I was at the academy, teaching at the academy. So I had some people coming through later on, 30s, and they might have had their own business. And sometimes they'd be like, hey, I'm actually taking a pay cut coming to this profession. But it's something that I always wanted to do. I feel like it's my calling. And then I could always get back to the business aspect of it. And my business will always be there. So did you kind of take that pay cut, going from the private sector and the hustle?
Yeah, man, I emptied my savings essentially to do it, to go to the police academy, know that I basically had 6 months of living in reserve. And I'm like, all right, if there's any time that if I'm going to do this and know that I've lived my life with no regrets, and I never wanted to look back and go, man, I really wish I would have done that. So this was being in law enforcement was one of those things that had just always sort of, like I said, had been in the box. Hey, it's time to do this, and no better time than the moment that I did it. And so, yeah, I guess looking back in hindsight, I've never really viewed it that way, but yeah, I definitely if I would have invested that same amount of money in Apple products or stock or something like that, where would I be today? It's probably something I shouldn't think about. I'll get bummed out.
Yeah, but you never really lost that entrepreneurship, right? As you
No.
went on, you're always looking at the best business play, and going through police. At what point? So you started, you left stuff behind. You started later on, so you already had life experience. So you knew you weren't a booger nose coming out of high school. You knew,
college,
You had a family, correct?
Yeah.
Young
Yes.
family. So you had life experience coming through. At one point, did you say, "Man, maybe I need a little bit more than this," or did the excitement run out, and then, or was it something when you started saying, I'm going to do this for a little bit, but eventually I need to get back going and get that second stream coming in?
No, when I started down in my law enforcement career, my goal was to finish there. And I guess maybe goal is the wrong word. The picture I had in my head, I guess,
Yeah.
what I anticipated would happen is I would do my 25 years. I don't know that I ruled out the idea of side hustles and things like that. I probably will always be trying new things, getting my hand in new things. I think it's my personality. It's what excites me and drives me, makes life exciting, is to get involved in different projects. And so that's who I am as a person. I had some clear goals where I wanted my career to go. And for me, I ended up in a place. I would probably still be a cop today if some of those things had unfolded, but life so often doesn't go according to your plan. Sometimes it throws you different things your way.
Right.
And so a mix of never, ever expecting to have the opportunities that opened up with the Mike the Cop thing. That was in my lap. But in addition to that, I basically had gone down a path where I was trying to get on a special team and did the interview process. It was getting farmed out to the feds, and I did not get that job. And where I was in my career, I was going to be stuck for the next probably 5 or 6 years still on patrol. I had done patrol, I had done interdiction, and then I was an FTO. And so I had progressed in my career, and I had certain things that I wanted to accomplish if I was going to stay in law enforcement. And I basically just hit a wall with where I was at. I was laid off from one department. Again, life throws you things that you don't expect, right? So had to kind of start over at a different one. And going through that process, when I came to the point to where I did not get that job and knew that I would be stuck for 5 or 6 years, again, going back to sort of like how my personality is, I always need new challenges. I'm always seeking new experiences. And I wish that, in many ways, I wish that could have continued in the law enforcement career, but it just wasn't for me without starting all over again somewhere else. And it just didn't feel right at the time for me or my family to make that attempt. So I took the opportunities that were in front of me back into the private sector, while hopefully continuing to keep encouraging cops with my content and keep educating non-cops with it. So the Mike the Cop thing doesn't have to die. I can still be an advocate for law enforcement. And in many ways, the project that we're doing now with the 10-7 project keeps me connected to cops in really cool ways. And I think one of the things that made my content, or makes my content, relevant to so many people is that I've just kept it real. Yeah. I've just always been myself. And I think that's been relatable to people. And what's real about me is that I'm no longer active in law enforcement, and I've transitioned back into the private sector and have new goals and aspirations as a result of that. And I think that's resonating in our culture with a lot of officers who are leaving, who are preparing for retirement, who just want to work less overtime, whatever that is.
Yeah, I think the general, a lot of people seeing what's going on around the nation, that the cops have the target on their backs, whether it be politically or literally. People might have second thoughts about the profession. Now, it's a noble profession, not putting it down. I love what I do, very honorable, respectable. However, it could get tough because if all you deal with is negativity all day, because anytime somebody calls the police, it's for a negative encounter,
Right.
Whatever it may be, if you think about it, or it's anytime you interact with the police, it's negative. So it's common to get that thought of, man, am I in the right profession? Or
Well, and I think part of the other thing that's always been with me with just kind of finding hobbies and stuff like that is to be able to get your mind and decompress and take your mind to a different place than consistently on the job. Because as we've seen even lately, there's difficulties that officers run into and affect their family life and affect their personal mental health. So doing sometimes hobbies or side hustles, get your mind kind of into a different aspect. And after a while, maybe that side hustle can start to blossom and grow into something that can take care of your family. And then you look at it as, all right, is this something that I can move on to? And then maybe the opportunities just grow and those sort of things may even grow to be able to take over your law enforcement career. And you just kind of weigh those cost benefits on how it goes, and what's best for the main thing is your family.
Yeah, and if you have that mentality and maybe you figure it out, because this police work is not for everybody. At one point, You're going to realize, man, this is not what I want to do. This is that's okay. That is all right. If you make that decision, I always say, have a plan, have something set up, something set up so you don't just automatically cut that revenue stream. And then all of a sudden now you're trying to figure stuff out when you don't have any income coming in. Mm-hmm. So this is where I was trying to get Mike on about setting yourself up to take that next step if you're at that point, which is okay. Yeah. I advocate for, if you want to become a police officer, the time is now. You can still become a police officer without a doubt. But if you find out that, man, this job is it's not for me, let's bring on Mike.
Or even
so
if
we can talk about setting yourself up.
Or if you're somebody like in my position, I've got 3 years, 11 months left, and I'm looking at, all right, now's the time. I mean, I'm comfortable in what I do, and I can finish out like a 20-year career, but I'm going to be 43 when I retire. So, at 20 years, my retirement is good, that I think I can take care of myself and my family, but I do want to look at other things because I'll be 43. I don't want to just be at home,
right.
Go
collect seashells.
Yeah, doing, like I'm a mover, I'm a shaker. I want to keep doing things. So, what am I going to look at? And so those are those sort of things too, is maybe if you're not leaving early, but you're leaving on time, but you still got time left in life and you don't want to be, done being a productive member of society either. So
I'm just going to really, really quick shout down these bullet points of this post, which led me to be like, hey, I need to get Mike on, see if he'll come on. Lies cops tell themselves when they're ready to leave policing. Okay, I'm just gonna shout. You want to do it, Mike, or do you know it off of hand? Or you want me to do it for you?
I don't have that written up in front of me, so I'm gonna at it.
I'm gonna read it for you.
To quote Mike. The
Okay, no, this is real quick. I wouldn't be good at anything else. Chances are, if you thrived in law enforcement, you could be successful at anything you wanted to do. So that was one. I don't know if you wrote it or maybe you had.
No, my good friend and business partner Chris Fisher, also a former cop, wrote those words. I adapted him a little bit because he had a lot more swears in him, and I was trying to be good and not get kicked off of Facebook again. I've spent enough time banned on Facebook.
In Facebook jail.
Yeah, man, he's a fugitive from Facebook. Okay, so it's all I know, meaning police work. It's all I know. Career law enforcement officers have experience in a myriad of areas: sales, customer service, and that's absolutely true.
Totally.
A lot of hats. You wear a lot of hats. I make too much to leave, which is crazy talk. So these are all the things that you might hear preventing you from taking that leap of faith. Okay,
Right.
The benefits are too good. All right, and I'm gonna let Mike go and just. I'm warming up his brain here to go down all this stuff. I make too much leave, crazy talk. The benefits are too good. I'm too close to retirement. The life expectancy of police officers. I'm not gonna read that part. I'll let you touch on that. So it's a calling, meaning that there's no subset of a calling. Quitting is for cowards. I'll never be happy doing anything else. And then you did curse, but you put a little asterisk there. You put bull asterisk. So I'm gonna stop there and let you kind of explain a little bit about that stuff and maybe give some motivational words to our audience that might be thinking about this. I wouldn't be good at anything else. Like,
I mean, I think they're looking at things the wrong way, because being a cop, I would, in one sense, the inverse of that is you're good at everything. You're good at anything else.
Absolutely.
Because you're getting put in so many different situations. You have situations where you have to think quickly. You're put in situations where you get to think slowly and methodically. I mean, you have the range of experiences all under stress, all under the confines of we have to get this situation resolved. We need to investigate further. All these different varieties of things that come to you make you good at anything. It really sets you up for whatever it is that you want to do. You know, I've found that especially, e-commerce or something like that, or retail sales, I would say is its own animal. But anything that involves serving other people, helping other people, providing a service to someone, you have all of the skills that you have sharpened as a police officer at your disposal to be good at anything that you would want to do, really.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And I talk to people a lot about that, even when they're getting into the career and they're maybe looking for, experience and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, what should I do getting out of high school? And it's like, go get the retail experience, because those are basic stressors in some of that stuff that I feel like a police officer in retirement can handle better, So if you get the basic build up while doing it, you can get into it and then finish it out later.
Is there because this goes with what you said about it's too close to retirement. I think, is there a mark for that? Because I'm kind of there right now. I'm like, man, I'm already here. By the time I set myself up, it'll be 3 years from now, which will put me like 2 years away from where I'm supposed to be to retire. So continue the side hustle and then just wait it out, because I'm kind of where I'm too close to retirement. So you think there is a mark, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obviously got to be an individual decision where that's at. But I think it's about being honest with yourself. Like, some people are going to use that idea, well, I'm so close to retirement, as an excuse to not take action, I guess.
Yeah.
And only you're going to know whether or not you're lying to yourself or whether that's a legitimate part of a really good plan, right? Like, man, this is solid. If I've got, 18 months left or 2 years left or 3 years left, I'm going to really begin to sharpen my skills in this area. This is the sort of like niche that I'm going to pursue outside of law enforcement when I retire. And you begin to sharpen those skills and you begin to do things on the side as a hustle and prepare yourself for that so that there is a true transition, not an end to one thing and a gap and the beginning of a new thing.
Yeah.
Then great. Then do that. Formulate a plan that is honest. But a lot of guys are lying to themselves. I was one of the guys, I had people thinking I was absolutely nuts for leaving. I had another year and a half until I was vested at my full-time gig. Now, I stayed in law enforcement, was working part-time jobs, weekends and stuff like that when I left full-time. So I continued to stay in law enforcement. I just wasn't working as many hours. And people thought I was nuts. But I'm like, listen, do the math. I'm going to get 70% of my best my best 3 years on patrol with no roll-ins in my tier. So patrol topped out at like $56,000 a year, where I'm like, so you're telling me 70% of that is the best that I'm going to do 20 years from now? Yeah. What is $35,000 a year going to mean to me in the year, 2050? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's nothing. It's nothing, right? Like, I'm missing so many opportunities to advance myself for the sake of my family, for my friends. I have a goal of creating multi-generational wealth for my family. Policing isn't going to do that. It will not do that, period. If your goal is to create lasting wealth for your family, you should have been out of police. You should never get into policing. You're an idiot, right? Like, someone needs to slap you in the face and bring you to reality. But all that said is, we got to be honest with ourselves, right? Like, if you're using I'm so close to retirement as an excuse for inaction for something that's better for you and your family, just because it's going to be a harder path for a while, well, that's on you,
Yeah. So would you recommend getting that side hustle up to par with what you're making, or at least close to, where, man, I could take a hit. I can make 80% of what my salary is, because I know eventually in a year from now I'll be making 200% of what my salary is if I stay the course and hustle. Is there a point where your side hustle, you're making X amount of dollars compared to what you're making salary at the department, where you recommend, or would you say, or again, individual basis depending upon family and things that you have going on at the house?
I mean, I think that everybody's going to have to come up with their own plan. I'm a big fan of burning the boats, man. That sometimes we get too comfortable, and we try to figure out how to grow while staying comfortable. And those two things don't work together.
No,
it just does not work. It's like when the kids are growing up, you can try to keep them safe as you can, whatever, right? But to grow up, to really learn new skills or whatever, you're going to get bumps and bruises, man. You're going to break a couple of bones. It's going to happen. And we try to keep ourselves comfortable while telling ourselves that we also want to have a life for ourselves that we've never achieved before. And those two things don't go together. So I do recommend to people, when I have these conversations, like, especially like in the real estate space, like when is a good time to know that I should go full time in real estate? I tell people a great rule of thumb is to have about 6 months of living in reserve. That's me. But if I didn't have a family, I would do even crazier shit.
Oh yeah.
Like I would take even bigger risks. And maybe I'm preaching to myself here. Maybe I should do that whether I have a family or not. Big risk, because I'm setting an example for my sons and my daughters, right? Are they going to learn to take risks? Are they going to learn to step out and be bold? Or are they going to learn to try to be as comfortable as possible in this life and accomplish less? So it's a little bit of a dance, of course. But I think, again, it's that honesty with yourself. And no one can give you that. I won't know. Yeah. Some people I would say, dude, you should cut ties and do it right now. Well, I've only got 2 weeks to living. Do it. Yeah. Be bold, figure it out. There's nothing like necessity to drive you to action, right? So it's about being honest with yourself.
Yeah, that's what they say. The most dangerous line, right, is the one that's backed against the wall, or what is the sickest one? One's about to die. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe that's not what they say.
Let's take a quick break.
With that being said, we're going to take a quick break. We have commercial slots. Huh? You like that, Mike?
Oh, my.
Yeah,
Wow,
we have commercial slots. We have no commercials, but we have the slots for them. So we'll take a 2-minute break.
And we'll be right back. What's in the cup? Guys, what's in my cup? Blackout Coffee Company. We joined up with them. I've been drinking it and I enjoy it, and I think you may enjoy it as well. So you can go over to our website and click the link, or you can just go to their website, blackoutcoffee.com, and use our coupon code to get 10% off. The code is DSP10. So go over, check it out.
Are you a police officer? Are you an investigator? Well, it is time to take your investigation to a whole new level, and let's get some of those cases closed. I'm talking about the one and only CIT Criminal Investigation Training Group. Guys, Freddie and his team can come to your police department and bring their training courses such as interview and interrogation, advanced interview and interrogation, crime scene analysis, homicide investigations, criminal law, case preparation and court presentation, and much, much more. If you'd like to find out more information, please contact Freddie Ponce, Detective Freddie Ponce. Yes, you've seen him on the first 48. At contact@freddyponce.com, or you can check out www.criminalinvestigationtraininggroup.com. All right, let's get back to the show. We're back from commercial. How'd you like that commercial, Mike?
It was excellent. Held my attention.
So, let's because I know you have some engagements after this that you have to get to. Let's get into that post, right? And basically you were telling everybody, stop with the excuses. Okay, everyone's got an excuse, but let me help you out. This may help you. So you talk about a little bit about what you've been going on with the post itself about the 10-7 project, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what 10-7? Because we do Q codes down here. Do you know what
10-7 means off duty?
Off duty
For us.
So
for us in Broward.
Yeah, I didn't use 10 codes in my career.
I didn't either.
My buddy Chris came up with this. I understand what it means, but yeah.
Yeah. So can you explain a little bit, guys? If you're listening and you're like, man, I need some help. He's about to help you. You're about to get the medicine. Here it is, Mike. Tell us what's this about.
Yeah, man. Our mission is super simple. It started with 1,000. 1,000 cops. We've upped it to 10,000 first responders. We want to help them supplement or replace their income. Our niche is through residential real estate, like literally getting your real estate license and helping other people in the home buying or selling process. Like that's the focus that we are. Although we have plenty of people who come into the launch group realize maybe this isn't for me and they've gone off to do other projects. That's great too. You know. This may not be for everyone. This is just where we're spending our time and energy right now, and it's that simple. And what happens when people reach out is we put them in a launch group, and we've literally laid out the steps A to Z. There's nothing that is a next step for you in this process that we haven't already walked, and so we've kind of carved out a path, and we just identify those steps for you. And everyone has to be able to put in the work. It's very simple. It's not easy because like anything worthwhile is always a challenge for the individual, walking that path. But the path is laid out. You don't have to cut it or figure it out. We've done that for you because that's our experience, right? Myself and my business partner, Chris, we're both former cops. We both went into real estate. We were both able to develop successful businesses as a result of what we sort of figured out. And we're basically just sharing our experiences and knowledge with people for absolutely free. We charge nothing. We don't do coaching and consulting fees. It's nothing. And people think that that's too good to be true, but we're saying, no, we're helping our brothers and sisters, make this transition. This is one of the ways in which we're giving back and helping the law enforcement community. We don't take a dime for it, and we just pour into people and add value to their lives. And we're not salesy about it. This is just what we're doing. We've dug out a well, and people want to come get water. Come on.
Nice.
That's awesome. I mean, that's what my partner at work. He's been a real estate agent for probably the last 4 years. And it's just it kind of comes and goes in waves and stuff for him. But and of course he's got to measure it with his current job assignments and stuff, but it works well for him, and it supplements that income, and it's definitely something that he, if he needed to hang up his hat tomorrow, he could. Yeah, so it's
a good skill to have. I'm sure there's plenty of tools that are going to be in that bag that, like you said, if it's not for you, you can use those tools in another place and figure something out. Shout out to Officer Rob, OG when it comes to YouTuber, used to vlog back in the day. He reached out to me when I had mentioned something on your post because he follows you. And he's like, dude, I'm gonna sign up for it or I'm gonna check that out because I'm looking to get out. He's out in he's gonna get mad because I'm gonna say his department, but he's LAPD. Yeah. He's out in LAPD, so you can imagine what he's dealing with over there. He's at the end of his career, and he's doesn't think that he can make it that far. So, Rob, if I'm putting out your information, my bad, dog, my bad. But
he is an OG on the YouTubes for sure. Little moto vlogs.
Yeah, baby, yeah. So, where I'm listening, like, man, that sounds great. Where do I go, man? Tell me, where do I go? Where do I got to go for this?
It's 107project.com. The 10 is spelled out and the 7 is the number.
All right.
We'll put 107project.com, and it just prompts you through. There's a page with frequently asked questions. You can just get into the launch group. Like I said, we're not selling anything. So there's no, I know a lot of people in our culture, we always think someone's trying to sell us.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we really have nothing to sell. Nothing. There's no product. There's no course. There's no nothing. It's information and encouragement and motivation. And if you get into the launch group and you realize it's not for you and you want to do something else, awesome. We encourage you. If you go through, get your license and feel like we added value, but you don't want to join us in our project with our real estate brokerage or whatever, you want to go do your own thing with your brother or your cousin, do whatever else. God bless you, man. Like all we're looking for is cops to own that transition and see success, instead of the typical retired cop who goes back and gets another stupid job at the courthouse or a dumb job in security and then offs themselves 4 years into retirement or dies from a heart attack from sitting around eating pork rinds and being a lazy piece of shit because their whole identity was wrapped up in that job. And we have to kill that mindset.
Oh, it got real. It got real.
No, but
it's okay. We can curse. We play by the Avengers rules.
Sorry.
If it flies in Avengers,
I try to remember.
It's all right. You could say shit.
But
language.
He brings.
I love Jesus, but I say the F word a lot.
He brings up a good point. It's just remembering that it doesn't have to be your identity. And I've been told off duty, like, oh, I didn't think you were a cop. You don't walk like a cop. And I was like, there's a cop walk, I guess. I guess there is a cop walk, but I don't even think about it that way because I don't walk that way. I look like some, college kid or something like that, or my wife says horny teenager, which is why I had to ditch the cargo shorts and start wearing normal
interesting
shorts.
Description.
Yeah, I am, I'm a horny 30-year-old, 39-year-old, but it is because that is part of the reason why the life expectancy post career, whether you leave early or you finish retirement, is so short, and it's awesome to kind of try and push that out further and give retired officers the ability
to just dive into the psychology behind that. It's tough because you go through a transition when you're not a police officer because you're a civilian. You go into the academy and they're like, you have to stop all that civilian stuff and think like a police officer. Because in a sense, you do, because you have to look for warning signs, some officer safety issues. But I always told the recruits that came through the academy is like, don't let go of who you are. I did for 2 or 3 years. And then I realized, hey, man, I still like to entertain. I still like to tell jokes, do comedy, make videos. I'm not going to let that go just because I'm a police officer. Some people don't have that mentorship or that epiphany where they go, hey, I'm also me. I'm not just a cop, and then they hold on to it all their lives, all they know. It's good. It's good. It's cool. It's good. But sometimes you got to be something else because that ride's going to end and it's going to shut down and you're going to go, hey, I want to get back on that ride. And like, no, you got to move on. And now you're wandering around. So to go back to what we were talking about before about maybe finding that point where it's like, man, I want to go. Just advice would be to set yourself up. And some things is starting to explore options. And one of them being going over to Mike's 107 project and his partner there, just exploring that. Again, that might not be the thing, but it might get the wheels turning to where you go, you know what? Yeah, this is motivating me to start that business or to take that next step. And you want to do it, like he says, to better yourself, to better his brothers, better his sisters. And I think it's a really good thing that you're doing. Just want to know why you need my credit card on the first page to ask me for my credit card information.
Yeah. Don't give out
Please
your social.
confirm the last 4 of your social.
Yeah. Do you want access to my camera, Mike? What's going on here? What's going on here, man? So, any regrets? I mean, no regrets.
Yeah.
Any regrets looking back at the career, going through the law enforcement? Do you wish that you could do both? And it didn't end, and you have the best of both worlds, And, you know, what was some of the weighing, like, it's just I can't deal with it. With society, the way everything is now, in the news, politically. Give me some of the motivations that you were like, I got to go, and if there's any regrets. I know I gave you like 3 questions in one.
Yeah.
Sorry, bro.
No regrets at all. I also, you know, I don't regret going into law enforcement. I don't regret that time in my life. I grew a ton. You know, I mean, it was a piece of shaping who I am today, right? So I mean, like I love the experience that I had in law enforcement. I'm so glad that I can, like I said earlier, I can look back and know that it wasn't just something that I always wished I did and never tried, right? I did it. Yeah. And so that makes me really proud of that fact. So I loved the career that I had in law enforcement. I love so many people in my life as a result of that, and the doors that aspect of my life opened up for me beyond just the 12-hour shifts, right? Like it did a lot for me. So no regrets there. I don't know that I would fit anymore. I had a really great opportunity with the admin that I had at the time, and the current admin at those places would not be as kind to me or my desires or practices on social media as the ones in the past were. So, yeah, I mean, I love the job so much that's why I stayed doing it part-time, because it wasn't for money. It was just to be in that world still, and to be able to, for my own self, know I'm doing something that I believe matters and is valuable to society, and I have a piece of that, and that's why I continue to do it and give up sleep on the weekends, you know, to work that part-time gig and do those things. But once the shift, there was a definite shift in culture where, as things progressed for me in business, I was like, it's not worth. I'm not afraid of the guy that I'm going to pull over. I'm afraid of the guy that's above me in rank. Yeah. And there's a lot of nonsense that goes on in police administration. That's another topic for another day, right? Like, what would we change about the job? But yeah, culturally for me, I wasn't going to be enforcing mandates. I wasn't going to be doing that stuff. And so for me, I didn't want to be the next example. I didn't work my ass off and transition out of a full-time job to have a business that was succeeding, to have it ripped from me or my family over doing my job on the next traffic stop. You know, so for me, it was a reward analysis, cost analysis of how much is doing this job worth it anymore for me.
There's too much on the line.
And what I had going on in my life.
There's too much on the line for you. For you have something good going on. You're able to connect to people through social media, and for all of a sudden for it to get tarnished because something happened out there, some hiccup, and now it's like, oh, now you have this blip in your career, something hanging over your head. I kind of get what it is, especially because you're also opinionated online as well. You're not just I'm just gonna stay here. I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about this. I'm just staying here and just watch me. And you're like, no, let's talk about this, and this is why this is this way. So I could see how some admin are probably like, oh my God, oh my God, dude. The mayor's gonna freak out when he sees this, or some politician that works in our area is gonna freak out. This guy works for you. Silence him. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I get it. Kudos to you, my brother. Thanks for coming on. I got more, but we're coming up to the end. We promised to get Mike back on if Mike is willing.
What are some of these questions that people wanted to ask?
Well, they had some questions like one guy from Run Disney Dad. We'd like to shout out the handles. He asked, "Hey, how did you and Officer Daniels meet?" Oh, I guess Officer Daniels is a guy. Just kidding. So
supposedly.
So what's the story behind that? If you want to knock a couple of these out.
Officer Daniels is actually he is the OG of any kind of like cop comedy stuff. Like, there was nobody doing it before him. Like, my kids were bringing me his vines. Like, look at this dude, you know, laughing. I was laughing with guys on shifts long before I ever started making videos, looking at his stuff. And Once I started making a few videos, he actually reached out to me. And as it turns out, looking back, he reached out to a lot of early content creators in the police space, just saying, hey, just to make a connection and just to encourage them.
Yeah.
Solid dude. One of my very best friends. And he reached out to me and just started that relationship, and has never, it's never been about what can you do for me? If you can help me, I'll help you. He just has always been someone pouring into people doing good things out there for the law enforcement space. And so, yeah, he reached out on Instagram, and I fangirl. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
I met the two of them at the Humanizing the Badge tent in D.C. at Police Week in Tent City. Met you guys, took pics and stuff. So that was cool.
Awesome.
Because of course, like my fangirl was just being that Let's Be Firefighters video is probably, of course, one of the most viral videos as far as cop comedy and stuff. It's just funny. Let's Be Firefighters.
Yeah, he's
awesome.
That thing was hilarious.
Daniel's good dude, solid, like you said, and when you meet people the first time, you're like, what are they about? What are they about? And he's just, my radar is just picking up a genuine good dude with him. Every time I call him, he picks up, we talk, and it's just cool conversation. And I ask him a little about this and that, and he gives me some advice, and then we move on, and that's it. And very, very humble, good dude. So shout out to Daniels. All right, so Mike's good dude too. You're good dude, Mike.
I'm just mean. People think
they don't like to hear.
People are like, he's an asshole. Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. But.
Yeah. But hey, it works, right? It works. It stirs up the comment section. Yeah, Arise Baby Blue says, "Hey, what's the starting salary at his department?"
Whose department?
Exactly. I think he wants out, and he's looking forward to the conversation. Maybe he's not happy where he is, or they are. I don't know who that is. It's a small profile picture. But so let's just piggyback. Do you want to say the agency name that you worked at, or how about the state or the area?
Oh, I'm in Michigan, Metro Detroit. Yeah, I keep the departments out just because in case anybody that's been in my videos is still on the job, and there's been some attempts with admin to get past cops that are still on the job in trouble for past content that they've appeared into mine.
Yeah.
So I don't care if people know where I work, because I don't even work there anymore. So you can go there.
Yeah, but it's the right thing. It's the right thing to do.
Yeah, just to make sure that I cover those dudes.
I mean, these questions are pretty much based about what we kind of spoke about, but advise on making the most of your life when the dream vision or version seems impossible, or at least very far off. So meaning you thought police work was one way, you got there, and you're like, oh damn, it's not this. So how do you make the best of it? I don't know. That's a very deep question. I don't know if you got.
Yeah, man. I think to simplify it, you just got to take ownership of your life. You got to decide what you want. What do you want out of life? Yeah. I really think if I had to, if my son was coming to me asking me the same question, I'd tell him, get a piece of paper, get a pen, and write down these 4 things: your physical life, your relationships, your key relationships in life, your mind and your spirit. And lastly, I would write down your professional goals, business, finance, career, however you want to do that. What do you want in these places? What do you want in these areas? And then ask yourself, okay, what's the next best step I can take toward those things? And then go do that, we just take ownership of your life. We live in a culture where we're told, be good, be nice, go to college, get your degree, get your job, get a nice pension or 401k, have 2.5 kids, have a fence, live in this neighborhood, make sure you have your Netflix subscription and all this other stuff. We have a story that the culture is trying to write for us. Write your own. I almost said a bunch of swear words. I'm doing good. Yeah. Write your own story.
Yeah, you can
write your own story.
Yeah.
Like don't live the way other people decide for you. Do what it is that you're called and you're driven to do, and take the risk to do it.
I love it.
Great advice.
I love it, Mike, the motivator. Let's change it. You were mentioning to wrap it up. You were mentioning that maybe you might be leaving in a grand exodus and saying, "Follow me, follow me,"
Yeah.
and
I don't
putting
know. I
down the
don't even know
phone.
what that looks like, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really tired. We talked earlier about being a person of principle. I'm asking myself that question. What does it look like as someone who has been more than knee deep in social media for years? What does it look like to live by principle and not continue to cave to big tech? For the average Facebook user, they don't really see these problems. But for someone who has literally built their entire business structures, dependent and interwoven with social media, it's the biggest question on my mind is how to transition from where I'm at to where I want to be. And I don't know what that looks like, but we'll see what the future of Mike the Cop is. I always just want to keep it real. So I'll be starting something soon where I open up a new Instagram account that's more personal, that's not cop related, that's more here's my real life, here's what I'm doing day to day. And if people are interested in that, great. If not, also cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't care.
Do you feel like once you get on their radar, these social media like Facebook, YouTube, once you get on their radar, they're kind of now like just like trying to just pick at you and say, "Oh, he said that, banned," or "He said this, 30 days, 90 days," because I know you see smaller accounts that fly under the radar with some horrendous stuff, and like how's that good?
Oh, there's some
this?
major accounts with horrendous stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always, me and Daniels will say, like, I swear there is a person assigned to me. There is a person assigned to me at Facebook, and they just like get a notification when I post, and it's like it's very instant. And I just had an hour-long conversation online with Facebook the other day because they, I don't know, did something, and I went on their support and I'm talking through, and I requested a manual review of something, and the manual review, it says after been manual, it was automatic. It happened like boom, after manual review, we've determined. I'm like, no one could have possibly, the video is 2 minutes long. You couldn't have possibly manually reviewed it because this happened in 10 seconds. You're lying. Like well, it's all we can do. I'm like, no, you can actually manually review it. Like, I'm talking to you. Why don't you review it? Like while I'm on chat with you.
I'll keep you on this chat for 2 minutes.
Game.
Yeah, I see it, and it's tough. And creating content on YouTube and creating content, you have to you try to like do different words or say different angles, but you're trying to talk about the same subject, but in a sense you're dancing around to be like, hey, I don't want to put this in my video because I know it's going to get crushed by the algorithms, but how do I talk about this without saying exactly what it is? So I want to start a trend like on TikTok or something, or we call it nugs instead of guns. Uh-huh. Call it nugs, right? And then make that known. So it'd be like my nug review. You know what I mean? Nugs review. We should start a trend like that and start coming up with code words that like, you know what I mean? To beat the system. You got to beat the system. I get you're tired of it. Like, I'm tired of it. I just want to create my own system.
Yeah, but I don't think the solution either is to just jump to these other. There's a lot of platforms that are emerging, especially they tend to become just echo chambers, and I set out to do this to help communicate truth in a way that can change people's minds, change perceptions. And to some degree, people don't see the DMs and the conversations and the meetings and all that stuff of people who there are people who, because of content like that you have put out, even Nick, like with opening up a window into the day-to-day life of police officers and stuff. And I'm sure you've heard this. You inspired me to become a police officer. Yeah. I was on the fence about this, or I have had problems with the police, but seeing how you're showing this has opened something in me that says, I want to go make a difference. And so you don't show that all the time, or we don't see that all the time. People don't hear that. But I also don't want to I don't want to just leave Facebook and Instagram to go be an echo chamber and just all pat ourselves on the back for all thinking the same.
That's true.
I like the challenge of communicating to people and I like being challenged by people who think differently than me. that's also valuable as well.
You're absolutely correct, because if you go follow me, everyone who's going to go yep all day with you.
And if you're not challenged in a conversation, I mean, that's the biggest thing about conversations. I did it over the holidays. Tried to have a conversation with my brother, and he wasn't having a conversation. I was like, there's no way either of us can learn if we're not having a conversation. Well, because over text and all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't work.
And that's where he's getting
the same thing with social media.
Into the problem is you want to have that conversation. However, the big brothers are not allowing you to have that conversation.
Right. It's this illusion of community safety and guidelines. It's like, oh, in other words, everybody's opinion is allowed unless it disagrees with ours. Then it's not. It's well, this is the opposite of what you're saying you're trying to do. And everybody sees it, but
it sucks. That private entity, that private third party Facebook it runs into problems where people are like, this is my free speech. At the same time, this is a company, so people need to realize that.
Yeah.
And it sucks that they have that power.
But and that we're so stuck on it. we need that main vein. We need the line of it.
Yep.
Any hoot. I know we are now 6 minutes over our time, and I hate to keep you, but I am glad that you joined us. And our bad on the technical difficulties to begin the show. However, you're here. It happened. It's in the past.
It happens, man.
Yeah. Look, I said sorry and forgave ourselves without you saying anything. Well, anyways,
thank you very much, man. Thank you.
If you guys don't follow Mike the Cop, what are you doing? No, it's Mike the Cop. Come on. Everyone knows Mike. So
his handle's on the screen.
Yeah. Thanks again for joining us. Looking forward to future conversations with you, my brother. And I guess I would say be safe. And any final drive it home to those listening, the aspiring police and the current police now. You got 8 minutes.
Whoever is listening, go to Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening and drop a rating and review for these guys and help them grow. That's it, man.
That's what I'm talking about.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we'll see you soon.
All right, boys.
We would normally cheers. We got to get this virtual cheers thing down. There he goes. Oh, and what about the podcast? Your podcast.
Failure
to Stop. There you
Failure
go.
to Stop.
Yeah.
The Failure to Stop podcast. If you look that up, you should be able to find it.
Yeah.
And we'll be right now. We usually do lives on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and Fridays 11 a.m. Eastern, and the audio comes out same day or next day on those shows. And
it's generally the same, more or less the same stuff talking about on the podcast.
We have a variety. We cover law enforcement meets culture. So we have episodes where we cover news articles. We have episodes where we break down current or former major cases from a cop perspective. We bring on guests and we chat with them. We do something funny called, fun for us anyway, called Night Shift. You know how like guys go car to car and just talk about crazy nonsense.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
We'll pick a topic, do call in, and it's kind of like we're trying to just smoke and joke for a little bit, and hopefully people listen to it on shift during those times, and we inspire some conversation. Yeah.
That's good. I like that you have some kind of like running theme with it. The donut shop was sitting in a donut shop. We might talk to a cop. We might talk to a businessman. Whoever comes in, have that little spark up that conversation. We're cops. We love donuts, so they say. Mm-hmm. So great. Well, Mike, thanks again. Jay, anything?
No, appreciate you, man. Good to see you.
All right, my brother. Be safe.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
All right. Later.
Calling all units. Donut Shop has a fresh dozen. Go ahead and take a 1040.